What if the reason your life feels heavy is not lack of effort, but lack of order? Be honest, what is sitting at the center of your life right now? Fear, pressure, people? Because whatever sits first shapes everything else. You can pray and still feel empty. You can believe in God and still feel lost. Because closeness is not the same as surrender. Maybe that's the pain nobody talks about, trying to hold everything together while quietly falling apart inside. But there is a shift that changes everything. When God is not part of your life, but the foundation of it. Peace stops being rare. Direction becomes clear. Strength returns in places that felt broken. And today, something real can change. Not motivation that fades, but alignment that transforms. Put God first in every area of your life. Put God first in every area of your life. Put God first in every area of your life. It sounds simple, but it is one of the most life-changing decisions a person can make. Many people place God at the edge of their plans, turning to Him only when problems become overwhelming. Yet true transformation begins when God is not just part of your life, but the center of it. When God comes first, your priorities begin to shift. Decisions are no longer driven only by emotions, pressure, or temporary desires. You start seeking wisdom before making choices, peace before chasing opportunities, and purpose before pursuing success. The need for constant approval from others begins to lose its grip because your confidence is rooted in something deeper. Putting God first does not mean life suddenly becomes easy. Challenges still come. Unexpected setbacks still happen. People may still disappoint you. The difference is that you face those moments with a stronger foundation. Instead of being controlled by fear, you learn to respond with faith. Instead of allowing circumstances to define you, you allow God's truth to guide you. In practical ways, putting God first means creating space for prayer, making time for spiritual growth, choosing integrity when compromise seems easier, and trusting God's direction even when the path ahead is unclear. It is a daily choice to surrender control and allow God to shape your thoughts, actions, relationships, and purpose. Trust God even when you cannot see the way forward. Trust God even when you cannot see the way forward. Some of the hardest moments in life are the seasons of uncertainty. You want answers, but none seem to come. You want clarity, but everything feels hidden behind a fog of questions. The future appears unclear, and every step feels heavier than the last. These are the moments when faith becomes more than a belief. It becomes a decision. Trusting God is not about understanding every detail of the journey. It is about believing that the one leading you sees what you cannot see. While you are focused on today's obstacles, God is already aware of tomorrow's opportunities. While you are struggling with unanswered questions, He is working in places beyond your vision. Fear often grows in the spaces where certainty is absent. It whispers that things will never improve, that doors will never open, that you are walking alone. Faith answers those fears by reminding you that God's presence is not dependent on your ability to see His plan. Many breakthroughs begin in seasons that look unremarkable from the outside. Growth often happens quietly. Character is developed in waiting. Strength is built through perseverance. Trusting God means continuing to move forward even when progress feels invisible, believing that every step taken in faith matters. It means refusing to let doubt become your guide and choosing confidence in God's wisdom over confidence in your own understanding. God's timing is perfect even when waiting is hard. God's timing is perfect even when waiting is hard. Few things test the human heart more than waiting for something deeply desired, waiting for healing, waiting for an opportunity, waiting for a breakthrough, waiting for a prayer to be answered. In those moments, it can feel as though life is standing still while everyone else moves ahead. The challenge of waiting is that it often creates tension between what you hope for and what you currently see. You may wonder why certain doors remain closed. You may question why the answer has not arrived yet. Yet delays are not always denials. Sometimes God is preparing circumstances. Sometimes He is preparing people. Sometimes He is preparing you. There are lessons learned in waiting that cannot be learned any other way. Patience develops, character deepens, priorities become clearer, dependence on God grows stronger. What feels like an interruption may actually be part of a greater process unfolding behind the scenes. In practical life, waiting does not mean becoming passive. It means continuing to grow while you trust. It means staying faithful in daily responsibilities, maintaining integrity when shortcuts appear tempting, and choosing hope over frustration. The waiting season becomes a place where faith is refined, perspective is renewed, and trust becomes stronger than the need for immediate answers. Faith grows strongest in difficult seasons. Faith grows strongest in difficult seasons. Most people would choose comfort over struggle if given the option. Yet some of the deepest spiritual growth happens during the moments we would never willingly select for ourselves. Challenges have a way of revealing what truly supports us when everything else feels uncertain. When life is going smoothly, it is easy to feel confident. Plans are working, relationships are stable, and opportunities seem abundant. But when disappointment arrives, when doors close unexpectedly, or when circumstances become overwhelming, faith is invited to move from theory into reality. Difficult seasons strip away illusions of control. They remind us that our strength has limits and that our understanding cannot always explain what is happening. In those moments, dependence on God becomes more than a spiritual idea, it becomes a necessity. Hard seasons also reveal resilience that often remains hidden during easier times. Every challenge faced with faith develops endurance. Every setback navigated with trust strengthens spiritual maturity. Every obstacle overcome becomes evidence that God has carried you through before and can carry you through again. Practically, growing faith during hardship means continuing to pray when emotions feel heavy, remaining grateful when circumstances are imperfect, and refusing to allow temporary struggles to define your future. It means choosing to focus on God's character rather than the size of the problem standing in front of you. It means believing that even painful seasons can produce wisdom, strength, and growth. Your identity comes from God, not people's opinions. Your identity comes from God, not people's opinions. People's words change, but God's truth remains. You are valued, loved, and created with purpose, regardless of rejection, criticism, or comparison. Turn your worries into prayers and your fears into faith. Turn your worries into prayers and your fears into faith. Every burden surrendered to God creates room for peace. Bring Him your concerns, trust His care, and keep moving forward with confidence. God can transform pain into purpose. God can transform pain into purpose. What hurts you does not have to define you. In God's hands, wounds become wisdom, struggles become strength, and broken seasons shape a greater calling. Discipline and obedience unlock spiritual growth. Discipline and obedience unlock spiritual growth. Small daily choices to seek God, follow His guidance, and remain faithful build a stronger spirit and a deeper connection with Him. Strength is found in depending on God, not yourself. Strength is found in depending on God, not yourself. Human strength fades under pressure, but God's strength sustains you through every storm, lifting you when you feel you cannot stand anymore. Walk confidently, knowing God is guiding your steps. Walk confidently, knowing God is guiding your steps. Even when the path is unclear, His hand directs your journey. Every step is covered, every turn is known, and your life is never without purpose. Everything in life eventually reveals what is sitting at the center of your heart. When God is at the center, confusion loses its authority, fear loses its grip, and pressure no longer defines your identity. You begin to see that life was never meant to be carried alone, and strength was never meant to come only from yourself. Every key truth points back to one reality. Surrender is not weakness, it is alignment. Trusting God in the unseen seasons, waiting in His timing, walking through pain, and choosing faith over fear all lead to one transformation, your life becoming rooted in something unshakable. Take a moment and reflect honestly. What voice has been leading your decisions? What fear has been shaping your steps? What burden have you been carrying without handing over to God? Because the invitation is not just inspiration, it is direction. A call to realignment, a call to return God to His rightful place above everything else. And when that happens, life does not just improve externally, it transforms internally. Peace becomes stable, purpose becomes clear, strength becomes constant even in storms. Not because life becomes easier, but because you are no longer walking it alone.